Hey guys, I recently went through the process of troubleshooting this AC inverter that's on some trucks. It's not on all trucks. This is a Laramie 2014, and I wanted to go through that process just to check it. I did have a blown fuse, but I went through the whole process because I wanted to just investigate where all this stuff was located and how it worked, and I guess you could say I'm a glutton for punishment. But it turns out it's pretty easy, and that's kind of why I wanted to show it to you. Also, usually when you blow a fuse, it's not as simple as, well, it just blew a fuse. Usually there's a reason why a fuse blows. And most of the time it's not as simple as just replacing the fuse and everything's lovely after that, unfortunately. In this case it was, actually. I got a friend that plugged an old cell phone into my receptacle there, and I don't know what happened, but it blew the fuse. And in the process of checking the fuse, I decided to go through and, as I said, investigate this thing further and learn more about it. So that's what we got here. It's in an unusual place, this inverter. It's not under the dash, which is a good thing because I don't really feel like tearing that dash apart. It's under the passenger seat, which at first I thought, what in the hell? Why would they put it there? Turns out it's a pretty easy access to get to. I'm going to show you that right now. And also it's a good opportunity to vacuum under your seat and get all of that stuff out of there. But this is the rear of the seat here. You got two bolts there. Easy to get to. They were tight as hell on my truck. And if you walk around to the front, you've got two on the front. I'm trying to go fast because this will be a very long video if I don't. But it's not a great picture, but you see that yellow plug right there? Well, that's where everything comes under the seat, so you're going to want to unplug that. If you don't unplug it, it's probably going to unplug itself when you lift the seat up. There's the inverter. All you got to do is remove the 4 bolts and then lift the front of the seat up, which is really nice. It's a pretty easy process, and I think it's a pretty good design. Here the seat is lifted up and you can see the inverter under the seat. It's very easy to get to after you do that. You don't have to remove the seat. Just remove the 4 bolts and it'll lift right up, and you can pull that yellow plug. And then you can remove the plug on the back of the inverter and start your troubleshooting. Now there is a fuse, and I mentioned a fuse. It's fuse 38, and that's going to be the first thing you want to do is check the fuse, of course. And that fuse is marked on the box as inverter, power inverter, I think it is. But it's an inverter because it converts 12 volts to 120 volts nominal. And there's that yellow plug. That brings in the power for the power seats if you have it and all of that stuff too. And it's easy to get to, very simple to get to, easy to lift this seat up. I wouldn't hesitate to do that, even if you just want to clean up under there really good. Now this is the plug on the back of the inverter. The little clip that you disconnected is pretty simple. It's not one of these complicated things like some of them on the truck. It's just on the bottom there, which is handy. You can see it there. You just press on it and it pulls right out. So this is probably a good time to discuss the mating plug. And that's the little 4, it's really 8 pins on it, but it's the big ones are 4 pins here. I'm not sure why this one right here is shown as it shows a 1. It's kind of a, I don't know if it's a manual thing or what, but up here it's a regular 1. But this is the mating side here, so the way I was holding the plug is the way you would be looking at it here, and this is with the wire inserted here. Now an easy way to find out what the 12 volt power coming in is to look at the wires, and you'll see the biggest wire is going to be 12 volts because the 12 volts is carrying more amperage. So it's going to be logical that that's going to be the biggest wire. It happens to be a red with a light green stripe, and you can see them here. They're all marked here if you don't have a schematic, and it's pretty straightforward. You can see that number 4, which is this one up here, is the fused B, which comes from the panel and the fuse box, rather, and it's fuse 38 as I mentioned above. And then here's the schematic of the entire thing. Hopefully I'm pointing to the right thing with this little bitty schematic. But you can see that the big red wire that I described is the 12 volts coming into the module, the power inverter here. And then you've got a ground down here. So it's pretty simple circuit really. And then you've got 3 AC going out, and then a status switch, which is that little red light on your dash. I believe when you got something plugged in, right? I think that's the way it worked. I might have it asked backwards, but it's a little red light, and you can see it there at times. So this is the power inverter itself, and then this is the plug, which is located in the dash. You can see those little dotted lines are just connections, and then like I said, the status switch. So it's pretty simple, and all you need is a voltmeter to check this. You don't need anything exotic. You do need to have the power, your power key, your key button, whatever you have turned on, to be able to check this though, because you're not going to be able to read anything if the power is off naturally, right? And here I'm just showing the 30 amp fuse that came out of the fuse box, slot number 38. And then here with the ignition on and a good fuse, that's the magic number we were looking for, 12.45 volts, which is a little low for that battery. And also, I mentioned this was a 2014, but this procedure should be good probably all the way up to the 2023s, but I know it's good for through 2018. And then after plugging the seat back in, lowering it down, and installing the 4 bolts, there we go, testing it out with my old shaky hands, and you can see that it's working. Everything's good to go. You can't see the status light because it's only seen from the passenger side. It's a red light and it's on when you got something plugged in. So it's all good. I probably should do that to the driver's side now. Clean all that up. No, I'm not that anal, but it is a pretty easy procedure to remove that seat. That's good to know. So I know this is kind of a specialized video and everybody's not going to need to do this, but if you ever have to do it, just know that it's an easy job to do. You can do it yourself. Don't take it to the dealer. Save yourself some money and replace this thing yourself if you do have to. I appreciate you guys watching my video, and until next time, adios.